Freddy Krueger has been slashing his way through our dreams for over 40 years now. Being the only slasher that is the man of our dreams, you survive by one rule.
Don't fall asleep.
And since it's been 14 years since we've had a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, today we're going to break down the evolution of Freddy. In 1981, Wes Craven really entered the psyche of the audience, creating a new kind of terror in the horror scene. The original Nightmare on Elm Street made waves, and of course it did. Imagine having this hideous figure that's burned coming after you in your dreams. Because you have to sleep, but you're faced with the reality of two choices. You can die of sleep deprivation, or you can die by going to sleep. The Nightmare franchise of course had its ups and downs, with Robert Englund portraying Freddy over the course of every movie except for one. But however, I have the argument that each Freddy's a little bit different in this video. Today I'm going to be ranking 12 different versions of Freddy to see which one is the absolute scariest. And you're probably saying to yourself, Ray, there's not that many movies out there. And you're right. I have a few surprise entries in this. Let's break it down. We of course have the original Nightmare on Elm Street, the classic, which I'm about to break down my very unpopular opinion that most people overlook on how different this Freddy Krueger actually is. From the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, you name it. I'll save that for later. Next we have Nightmare 2. This Freddy right here is dark. He is not one you want to mess with. Nightmare 3. This is where the tonal change comes into the franchise. Not saying that is bad. I actually enjoy the change. Next we have Nightmare 4. I also really do enjoy this version of Freddy. But to me, this is where the story of the franchise kind of goes left field a little bit. More on that later. Nightmare on Elm Street 5. Definitely not a very good looking Freddy. You know what I mean? This is like you ordered Freddy off a fucking Temu. Then we have Freddy's Dead. This Freddy right here. Then we have Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Ooh, that's a spicy pick right there. A lot to say about that. For whatever reason you have not seen this film, it's very meta. It takes place in reality. This is a demon entity taking on the persona of Freddy. Very interesting. Love the look, love the Freddy. He's dark, he's creative, he's funny. I really like him. Next, we have Freddy vs. Jason. If you've been following this channel for a long time, you should know I'm not a big fan of this movie. But this Freddy, it's pretty decent. I wouldn't say it's up there one of the greats, but it's definitely better than the bottom of the barrel. However, this is where our first surprise entry comes in. Here we have the underrated, the overlooked, the slept on Demon Freddy that we get in Freddy vs. Jason. Look at this picture. Look at the design of this Freddy. Tell me that's not freaking terrifying. But again, more on that later. And then we have the 2010 remake, which is mostly hated by the population of the horror community. And I might be in the minority because I do like Jackie Earle as Freddy. I think he did a great job. It's just everything around him just fell to shit. I don't think Jackie did a bad job. It was the fellow cast, the script, the movie plot. It all just collapsed on itself, and unfortunately I think he suffers for that. But here we have our next surprise entry. This is Super Freddy. God damn. We'll talk about it. And last but not least, our last and final surprise entry. Freddy Krueger from Freddy's Nightmares. Now I'm only taking the first episode because Freddy does also change throughout Freddy's Nightmares season 1 and 2. If you have not seen these, I think they're a decent watch. I'm really a big fan of it. The quality does decline slower and slower. However, it really expands the Nightmare lore, and it gives you an awesome pilot episode exploring Freddy's backstory. How he went on trial, how he got caught, how he got let off, how he became to be Freddy, the revenge he took when he became Freddy. I think it's one of the strongest pilot episodes ever. Now let's look at the categories. Category number 1, the GOAT, the wet dream, the orgasmic, the epitome of what you want Freddy Krueger to be. The man of your dreams. He's terrifying. He's witty. He's funny. He's sinister. He has one-liners that aren't corny. He'll scare you. Everything you want in a Freddy belongs in this category. Category number 2, Springwood Slasher. A great portrayal of Freddy. It's not the best though, but still one of the better in the franchise. If they make in this category, you still rock with them. Category number 3, Donkey Juice in Bed. This is where Freddy starts to decline for you. You look at it, you're like, man, how did we get here? Why did this happen? Why do I have to suffer through this? But it's not the worst thing in the world. Maybe it's one of those situations where it's so bad it's good. You don't rock with this Freddy as much, but you still tolerate it. You still accept it. You wish it wasn't there, but you can handle it. Category number 4, Chlamydia and Ice. Now this is pretty self-fucking-explanatory. You don't want chlamydia, and you don't want chlamydia and ice. You know what I mean? And since there are 4 categories, I'm going to challenge myself and make this one rule. Since we have 12 different Freddys, I'm going to have to put at least 3 Freddys in every category to really challenge myself. So this should be interesting. So let's begin. And as always, let's pick at random. And stop. Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Freddy. Let's go. Wait. Just for shits and giggles, I'm gonna add one more Freddy because I can't pass up this opportunity. I'm gonna add my Freddy in here. I just have to. I'm not gonna sit there and jerk myself and be like, I'm the greatest Freddy ever. But let's talk about Nightmare 3. Nightmare 3 was a tone change in the franchise. In Nightmare 1, you got this really dark Freddy. I think Nightmare 2 was more sinister and all around more evil and scary. A vast majority of people label this as MTV Freddy. I don't think so. I don't think that really got there until part 4. This Freddy still has redeemable qualities that really stem from the original and part 2. It feels like this Freddy's really stepping out of his box, and he's getting more creative and more comfortable in his own skin. And who can forget the one-liner that is arguably his most famous one-liner of all time?
Welcome to prime time, bitch!
I feel like the heart of the world Wes Craven is trying to build is still there. And yes, Wes Craven did have his hands on this, and it really does feel like that. I mean, you can look at this picture here, and that's a great example right there. The syringe glove, love that. And the movie brought back Nancy Thompson, her father, and having these characters return really bridged the gap between the original Nightmare and Part 3 Freddy. So you have a connection there. So I'm going to say, even though this is a different Freddy, I still think there is some redeemable qualities. I still think he's sinister and scary in his own way. And this is a Freddy that I still hold high in regard. So for right now, and this might change, I'm going to put Part 3 Freddy in Springwood Slasher. And I'm really debating on putting him in Wet Dream because that's a tough choice right there. But for right now, based off just the fact that is he absolutely more terrifying than the other ones, some of these I don't think so. So for now, I'm going to hold off. I'm going to put him in Springwood Slasher. Next. And stop. Where is it? Okay, Freddy versus Jason. I'm going to go ahead and group these two because I don't want to be bouncing around films. So let's talk about the base Freddy from Freddy vs. Jason first, and then we'll talk about Demon Freddy. First off, Freddy vs. Jason should have happened in the late 80s, early 90s. You probably already know the story about that. You know, if you watch Freddy vs. Jason, they really set that up to happen. And then they just never did. We got Jason X instead. The main problem I have with Freddy in this movie is that he feels like a background character in this movie. Think about how many kills he has in this. Not a whole lot. Jason sweeps everybody. Freddy in the opening scene was really dope when he's making that intro, talking about how to search the bowels of hell but I found someone.
Someone who make 'em remember.
But throughout the film, you can really see that Freddy's having a hard time getting it up. Literally. He's not strong enough to kill people. So that automatically takes points down from me. And of course, Freddy does grow stronger. And me not being a fan of Freddy vs. Jason, I do love the fight scene. And I was really surprised on how long Freddy held his own against Jason. Because this Jason right here was so fucking OP. I mean, he was so OP, it was almost cartoonish. I honestly don't really like the look of Freddy, and the fact that he didn't really contribute a whole lot to the kills or anything in the movie. He's definitely not going to Wet Dream. The nightmare sequences in the movie were kind of cool. They used Freddy in this film more as a narrator and a narrative angle, more than the actual slasher trying to go up against Jason until the fight scene. But all around, this is one of the Freddys I just don't really rock with, but he is still a lot better than someone on this list. So right now, I'm going to put him and Donkey Juice in bed. Okay, let's talk about Demon Freddy in Freddy vs. Jason. Throughout the whole runtime of Freddy vs. Jason, the ups and downs of it, the fight scenes, everything, the story, the narrative, no matter how you feel about it, the first time I watched this movie, and every time I watch this movie, even though I'm 30 years old now, this scene when Lori falls asleep and Freddy's fucking with her, and then he turns into this fucking Demon Freddy. This Freddy is so fucking terrifying. Just look at the makeup, the eye contacts. I don't know why this happened. I don't know if this is Freddy in his true form. I don't know if he used this look as a trick to Lori just to amplify some more fear. And the fact that we only get just a few seconds of this really baffles me. But on the other side of that, that's what makes it so mysterious. This Freddy compared to the base Freddy, oh my god, it's day and night. This is one of the best Freddy scenes in all of cinema. And why they didn't rock Freddy like this the whole film? Man, that would have made this a completely different film. When he says,
"What's wrong, Lori? It's your wake-up call."
And he's doing the whole classic tongue thing. And there's such a huge jump between this Freddy in the beginning of the movie who couldn't get it up to this scary ass Freddy who is so powerful now and so scary and so terrifying, he's just playing with his food. And then he reversed back to the other Freddy. It's just, I don't know what happened. There's some major disconjointment there. But this Freddy right here, no doubt, this is going a wet dream. Because if I saw this Freddy in my true nightmares, I'm pissing my pants. Next. And stop. Alright, let's talk about Super Freddy. Is this Super Saiyan Freddy? No. Is this Freddy Krueger 2.0? No. Is this Freddy on coke? Maybe, but not in a good way. I honestly added this Freddy for shits and giggles. This is just a joke of Freddy that he uses to entertain himself. Because I feel like at this point in the franchise, because not only does the movie fucking suck, I feel like they needed something to entertain the audience. But this wasn't it. This Freddy had potential. Now let me tell you why. Could you imagine a serious movie where Freddy is playing with his food, like I just talked about, right? In a sinister way. Instead of doing this cartoony shit and making this just balls to wall in left field and complete fucking garbage, waste disposal, sewage. I can picture in my mind, I can picture a movie world where we still have that sinister Freddy who is going out to this nerdy kid who is just obsessed with comic book. Maybe he writes comics, maybe he illustrates them. I can see Freddy making this a really dark and twisted story. And if they would have took this film and made it serious and just had a small portion of that film be 2D animated that took place in the dream realm, Freddy can make anything happen in this dream world and the possibilities are endless. They really had something going with the idea of this Freddy. Did they capitalize on this Freddy? Fuck no. I'd rather drink fucking bleach. This Freddy's going chlamydia and ice. Next. And stop. Okay, we got the 2010 remake Freddy. There's a lot of mixed emotions about Jackie Earle's Freddy to me. The 2010 remake Nightmare film is not a good movie. Let's get this out of the way. I said this in the intro. I think it's a shitty movie, but I think this Freddy right here is still scary in his own respective way. When this movie came out 14 years ago, I wasn't looking for another Robert Englund. I knew they was going to take a different approach, and I wanted a different approach. I didn't want the same thing. On the rare occasion that I do watch this movie, I really do enjoy Jackie's performance. His own mannerisms, like what he does with the glove, like the scissoring, you know what I'm saying? When he speaks to his victims, he plays with his food. When he says things like,
"We got 6 more minutes to play."
This Freddy right here is still sinister. He's still scary. He's still evil. He's not bashing out corny ass one-liners. When he kills you, it's pretty brutal. And then you got the fact that they admitted he was a pedo. And it's weird how us horror fans kind of pull for the villains and the slashers in this movie because we just grow and love the characters. But it's really hard to fucking love something like that. The best thing I can say about this, that even though this movie is shit, I feel like Jackie did his thing. I feel like cosmetically he could have been different. I love the voice. I love how he did his own thing. Even though this movie is a fucking expired ham sandwich you don't want to eat, I feel like Jackie did his thing and he really shines in the movie. I still like this Freddy. You take away all that other bullshit I just talked about, this is still one of the scarier Freddys to me. I'm going to put him in donkey juice in bed. Next. And stop. Oh, Nightmare 5. I don't want to do this one. To me, Nightmare 5 was the decline of Freddy. And it only got worse from there. I don't know what the hell happened in production. The look of this Freddy is just fucking awful. The portrayal of this, as much as I love Robert Englund, you can't take him seriously. There's nothing scary about this movie. There's nothing scary about this Freddy. I mean, this Freddy doesn't even fucking try. Now, some of the kills he does are pretty interesting. And the movie has elements that puts Freddy in the scenario that stems from the feeling and the atmosphere of parts 3 and 4. Now, you can still feel a little bit of that in this Freddy. And on the contrary, I really like the premise of this movie. Imagine Freddy being defeated, right? And the only way that he can come back, if you can't reach your nightmare, he's gonna reach your kid's nightmare. Your adolescence. That little baby in your stomach. I mean, could you imagine that? Even the worst films have really good potential, good bones. They could have brought this back to be even more sinister. Because just imagine, Freddy being in your baby's dreams, right? And reality is warping. And you have that fine line between the dream realm and the reality. And you can't decipher the two. I think it's a really creative way for Freddy to reach you once he's defeated. However, I can't take this Freddy seriously whatsoever. And the makeup looks like, I mean, it's worse than Made in China, it's worse than Temu, it's worse than buying off Shein, AliExpress. This looks like a party city version of Freddy Krueger. but just a little bit worse. And it's kind of flip-flopped because a lot of these movies suck, but Freddy does his thing. In this scenario, I actually feel like the movie kind of works, but Freddy doesn't. And don't get me wrong, I don't like this movie whatsoever. But in a nightmare film, you need two things. You need a successful story and a successful Freddy. And sometimes one or the other outweigh each other just a little bit. It's just all out garbage. Yeah, this is going in chlamydia and ice. Just look at this photo. Matter of fact, I'll add another photo right here. How in the fuck can you say that this is gonna sell? How the fuck can you say that this Freddy's gonna be scary? It looks like I did the makeup. And that's fucked. Anyway, I'm done ranting on this fucking shit. Next. And stop. Ooh hoo hoo. Yes, let's talk about Wes Craven's new nightmare. Now this, my friends, is interesting. This Freddy right here automatically has my respect. Coming from part 5 and from Freddy's Dead, which really just slapped the audience in the face and it really just buried the fucking character of Freddy. Like, there was nothing serious left. He was laughable. Freddy became a parody of himself. And that's a problem. This is a slasher movie. And I can only imagine being Wes Craven, who worked on the first one. He had his hands on part 3. How do you recover from Freddy's Dead? Like, seriously. And throughout all odds, I feel like Wes Craven did the impossible and made Freddy scary again. Let's break this down. I think this Freddy was a genius move. Because in this film, Robert Englund does portray the regular Freddy on that TV show, right? I'll put the clip right here. By him deciding to go meta with this. To have this demonic entity take on Freddy because Freddy's not ready to die. Freddy looks different, the makeup's different. He's wearing a trench coat and a hat now. He has a new glove. His body build's different. And make no mistake, there is nothing corny about this Freddy. This Freddy is all business. My only complaint is that we didn't get more screen time of him. And to have Heather Langenkamp come in as herself. And her son Dylan. And even Robert Englund and Wes Craven and Bob Shaye and all them. To bring Freddy into the real world, the Hollywood world. And have Freddy terrorize them. This new, reinvented Freddy. That says, I'm not done, boys. I'm not done. There's 2 scenes in this movie that really terrified me. One is the infamous closet scene.
Miss me?
And my favorite part of this film is when Heather walks outside and sees John. And reality is twisted. And she's dressed like Nancy. And she's like, John, why are you doing this? Not my father. And then she realizes what's going on. And in the movie, Wes Craven tells Heather, you have to decide on whether you're going to play Nancy one last time. And Freddy's popping up out of the bed with the sheet. And he's just waiting on the answer. And once she says, yes, daddy, shoom, he's ready to go. That is one of the best scenes in the entire franchise. I love this movie. I love the Freddy.
Nancy.
There's no doubt in my mind. This is a wet dream. Orgasmic. Next. And stop. Okay. Let's dig deep. This is Pilot Freddy from Freddy's Nightmares. For those who have not seen Freddy's Nightmares, I will say again, you're missing out. It's a great show. It's an anthology show. Freddy hosts every episode, and a few select episodes are about Freddy Krueger himself. But this pilot episode, man, even though it's low budget in the 80s, it doesn't matter. They did a great job. It shows you Freddy on trial, and the main character is the cop that put him away. But Freddy got freed, and Freddy goes after his children, but he's unsuccessful. So finally they track him down and kill him. And that's when Freddy comes back as Freddy. And he fucking haunts these motherfuckers. He looks great. This is very reminiscent of a mix-up between the original and part 3. It's kind of like those 2 profiles matched together. The perfect blend. This has everything I want in a classic Freddy. So I'm going to put this, without a doubt, Springwood slasher. Next. And stop. Freddy's Dead. Alright, let's get this out of the way. Growing up as a kid, this was the only nightmare film I had on DVD for a very long time. Do you know how excruciating that was to put up with this bullshit? Kung Fu this, bitch! Hey, you forgot the power glove. As much as I trashed part 5, Freddy's Dead, really in every sense of the word, became a parody of itself. They gave up. They didn't give a fuck. They didn't try to make it scary. And to me, this isn't even MTV Freddy anymore. This was just like I can't even really talk about the movie because there is really no plot to the movie. Not for real. Yeah, Freddy's after his daughter, and he gets his ass kicked, and you got this corny-ass 3D world and shit going on. Horrible ending, horrible premise, anyway. But believe it or not, this is actually one of the most interesting premises in the entire franchise. Now hear me out on this. Bad fucking movie. I'd rather take my ball sack on the table and take a hammer to him. But could you imagine a world? Imagine if he successfully killed every teenager and child in Springwood. If he successfully did that, what would come next for Freddy? That's a valid question. Now, if you took that angle and did something with it, but you made Freddy serious again, I'd take that. I would. But nothing about this Freddy right here interests me. The movie, the script, the way Robert portrayed Freddy in this film, I think is just garbage. I love you, Robert. I do. You are Freddy. But this Freddy right here, I would rather have chlamydia and ice. The best thing about this Freddy is that he does give you a little bit of comedy. One quote in this movie that I often say is,
"Yeah, well, the map says we're fucked."
The story doesn't elevate Freddy. Freddy doesn't elevate the story. They both just fucking slap you in the face. And I don't understand how this was supposed to be the send-off for Freddy. Let's get it out of the way. This is going chlamydia and ice. There's no other way. Next. And stop. Oh, that almost hit on mine. But it didn't. Damn, it was so close. Alright, let's talk about part 4. Part 3 and 4 to me are really, really close. And at this point in the franchise, I still feel like Freddy is entertaining. Again, I never minded the tone shift in this. But the problem is, as I stated before, part 3 to me still had some of that sinister in it. Some of that darkness to Freddy. Especially the kills. Like the vine kill and shit. Like the wet dream kill. Even though I really do like the betrayal of this Freddy. I think the evil remains and the sinisterness and the evilness from 1, 2, and 3 are gone. And I still don't understand how you make such a great movie of Dream Warriors and then just fucking kill them off within the next 30 minutes in the next film. That's a slap in the face. Freddy still looks great in this. He's funny. He's entertaining. He's rockstar Freddy. I love that scene on the beach. This is Freddy having fun now. He's not trying to scare his victims. He's still playing with his food, but he's having fun with himself. He's having the time of his life. And that's still fun to watch. But is he scary at this point? Nah, I don't think so. So I'm going to have to go donkey juice in bed. Next. Okay, guys, we got 3 left. And we got part 2, the original, and yours truly. So let's see what we land on next, because this is about to get interesting. And stop. Okay, let's talk about my Freddy. For those that don't know, we have a separate playlist where we have created this comedy world of our favorite slashers. We play many different characters. I play Tommy Jarvis. James plays Jason. I play Michael. I play Ghostface. I play Freddy. And I normally don't like talking about that because for some reason I'm really adamant about not breaking the fourth wall between the two. Here at Lost Legends TV, we have 3 worlds. We have the Lost Legends TV world, which is real life, reviewing movies, talk about movies and all that. We have our cinematic universe, where we make films that take place solely in our cinematic universe, right? It's in its own world. And then we have our comedy parody world, and we try not to break the fourth wall in any of these. So I'm kind of breaking that rule right now, but this Freddy right here, this is Freddy in the present tense. I have a video where he ranks all of his deaths, reacting to the worst Freddy mask on the internet. I think I have 2 or 3 of those. Is this Freddy scary? No. But he's not supposed to be. He's supposed to be funny. And me, when I play this Freddy, I get a kick out of it. And I know everybody else does too. It's not MTV Freddy. It's not Scary Freddy. It's just funny Freddy. So I'm going to put him, donkey juice in bed, even though I'm tearing myself down.
Damn it! You gotta let the bother! What are you?
I'm going to put my boy donkey juice in bed, Freddy. I know he's going to have something to say about that, and trust me, I know. Next. Okay, part 2 Freddy. Alright, let's go. Let's talk about each of these, because I had to put one in Wet Dream, and I had to put the other one in Springwood Slasher. Because the rule was I had to put 3 in each. So let's talk about them both right here. I'll put them in their respective categories, and then we'll pick one ultimate winner. I think there is a huge disconnect between part 1 and part 2. And when I say disconnect, I don't mean that the character feels disconjointed. There is such a change in demeanor. If you look at these early pictures of Freddy from the original Nightmare film, just look at the way Freddy walks and runs, and how he carries himself, how he carries the glove, the way he talks.
Watch this.
It's truly different from anything else that's happened in the franchise. But part 2 was such a change for Freddy. This is where Freddy really fucking became scary. And this was the start of the evolution of Freddy, especially when it came to like part 3 and part 4 of how Robert handled the character. Just look at the new stature. I'll throw up photos of comparisons right here, as many as I can find. This Freddy from beginning to end of this movie is fucking terrifying. The story of him and Jesse, him trying to possess Jesse, him coming into the real world when that party's happening, and he just fucking murks everybody. And he's like,
You are all my children now.
And then when he's done, he just fucking disappears. Like, hell, I'm done. That scene when he's on the bus, when he's talking to Jesse, the way he looks, there's no doubt in my mind that this Freddy right here is one of the most scariest Freddys we've ever had. And this Freddy really stands out to me because we never got this Freddy again. Freddy 1 didn't do it, because in part 1, I really feel like Robert was still finding his footing when it came to Freddy, on how the character was going to be portrayed. Because it is drastically different, again, from 1 and 2 and 3, but especially from 1 and 2. Part 2 set the basis of what Freddy was going to be, but there was an even bigger shift in 2 and 3. After part 2, there was never again a version of Freddy that was so scary. Look how Freddy's looking at this dude at the party. Just the way he looks at people before he kills them is scary. To me, this is Wet Dream, hands down. And since we already talked about it, I'm going to put part 1 in Springwood Slasher. And despite on how much I love the original Nightmare on Elm Street film, and the way they portrayed Freddy and how different it was, how the approach was, there is no other Freddy on this list that scares me more than part 2 Freddy. So there you have it. There's my pick. I think the scariest Freddy to ever hit the cinema is part 2. So that is my list, ladies and gentlemen. Let's recap. I think the scariest Freddy of all time is part 2, followed by Demon Freddy from Freddy vs. Jason, even though we only got a few seconds. And then Wes Craven's New Nightmare. And Springwood Slasher, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna rearrange these. I'm gonna go part 1, part 3, and then Freddy's Nightmare is the pilot. And Donkey Juice in Bed, I'm gonna go Freddy vs. Jason, part 4, My Freddy, because he's dope, and Jackie Earl. And I'm honestly gonna leave this the same because that's pretty fucking fitting. But I would love to see my top 3 picks right here square off in some sort of capacity. I wonder who would win. That would be a fucking good match. But let me know your pick. Who is your top pick as the scariest Freddy of them all? Comment down below. As you guys know, I love answering comments. Let's start a thread on this. I can talk about this for days and days and days. So, let's get it started. I'll talk to you then. Thank you guys for stopping by. I love you all. Till next time. Adios.